My dear friends, what an extraordinary moment this is. Today, as I sit before you, I am suffused with gratitude. Gratitude of a depth and magnitude that words, which are those trusty companions of mine, are struggling to encapsulate. For you, yes, you have lifted the WordSmith to what is, in my eyes, a glorious summit of 10,000 subscribers. 10,000. It's, for me, not merely a number. It is a living, breathing chorus of souls who have, just off your own accord, have chosen to walk with me on this curious little corner of the internet where we journey into music, words, and wonder. So, if you would be so kind, if you will permit me a touch of reflection, 2 years ago, this channel was but a tiny seed, planted almost timidly in the fertile soil of YouTube. And to be completely honest, I had little notion of whether it would grow, whether its roots would find sustenance, or whether anyone at any stage at all would pause long enough just to listen. And yet, here I stand, or sit rather, 2 years to the day since that first tentative upload. What YouTube had become was a flourishing garden tended by your kindness, curiosity, and your support. To reach this double milestone, the second anniversary of this channel and the 10,000 strong community, feels like celebrating a birthday and graduation simultaneously. It is extremely humbling, it's exhilarating, and if I may confess, just a little surreal. And you know what, for a chap like myself who spends much of his time lost in thought, reading, dissecting songs, and musing over lyrics, to discover that so many of you wish to listen along is the most heartening revelation I've had in the longest time. So, before we go further, allow me to say this as plainly and sincerely as possible. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. And for lending your time, which is very precious to me, and I know it's precious to you, to this curious little corner of the internet. Without you, this channel would be little more than a diary spoken into a void. But with you, it has become a conversation, a community of fellowship of the musically minded and the lyrically intrigued. A few people have asked me how did I start this channel. Now, every tale worth telling has an origin, and the WordSmith is no exception. So, permit me, if you will, to rewind the clock back 2 years, to a time before this channel existed in any recognizable way, shape, or form. And it's somewhat of a humorous story. It all began rather unexpectedly with a job application. A friend of mine, his name is Liam, had referred me to a position as a YouTube channel host in the city of Durban where I once lived. It was a curious opportunity that required, as part of the application, a demonstration video to showcase my suitability for the role. Now, I was to provide proof that I could not merely sit before a camera, but engage, inform, and perhaps even entertain. These are qualities that, especially the entertainment factor, I didn't believe I possessed. And after a long and fruitful conversation with Liam, who referred me to this job, he suggested, rather wisely I might add, as it turns out, that I should play to my strengths. My background, after all, is steeped in music, the literary arts, studying the human voice, and in the pedagogy of singing. So, rather than feigning a topic that is not authentically mine, he encouraged me to do what I do best: to listen deeply, to analyze, and to articulate the wonders of a vocal performance. It was at this juncture that he made a recommendation which I thought was strange, to say the least, though I scarcely realized it at the time, it would alter the course of things entirely. Enter Dimash Kudaibergen, a name that at the time I had never encountered before, but one that would soon become indelibly etched upon my consciousness. So with a combination of trepidation and curiosity, I filmed and edited the video myself. It was in essence my first foray into speaking to a camera about music in this way, and I usually just react that way in front of anyone and even on my own. Sadly, the job itself did not materialize. The application fell short, as applications sometimes do, and we just got to roll with that, I suppose. But my incredibly naggy friend, God bless him, would not let the matter rest. So he nagged, nudged, and finally persuaded me to take a leap of faith and to post the video up on YouTube. Not as an audition for an employer, but as the foundation of a channel in its own right. And you can imagine my skepticism at the time, and I assure you I was reluctant. I didn't want to do it. I expected very little, certainly not an audience, nor engagement, nor any kind of following. And yet, to my utter bloody astonishment, and within the first 24 hours, the video had attracted 558 views and garnered 40 subscribers. And that modest beginning may seem trivial by grand YouTube standards, but for me it was something of an epiphany. Something had resonated. The rest, as the well-worn phrase goes, is history. Okay, so talking about my creative process. It's rooted in twin passions that have shaped my life. It is music and the literary arts. They have always been more than hobbies for me at a young age. They are the very lenses through which I see the entire world. Now, naturally, the way I speak and think has been colored by certain influences, and hopefully I can put them up on the screen for you so you'd be a bit more familiar with them. First would be William Faulkner. He taught me the beauty of lingering over an idea. Stephen Fry showed me how wit and eloquence can be made both learnable and joyous as an approach. And then there was a very popular name, Ernest Hemingway. I learned the discipline of clarity, that sometimes the sharpest truth is simplest. And then one of my absolute favorites is G.K. Chesterton. He reminded me always to keep a sense of wonder, to see the extraordinary in what can be deemed by most as the relatively ordinary. It is these voices mingling with my own that shape the way I share music with you. I attempt to the best of my abilities to be thoughtful, clear, but always with a dash of reverence for the beauty of words and song alike. Alright, so Liam, who essentially acts as an assistant for this channel and he has aided me greatly, has picked a few comments from the comment section for me to respond to live. So this comes from commenting on the 10,000 subscribers post. At AFN4PQ says, well deserved, prepare yourself not to be able to reply to lots of comments anymore. Yes, I completely agree, and how extraordinarily kind of you to say that. To be honest, I scarcely feel deserving at all of 10,000 subscribers. I remain somewhat astonished that anyone listens at all. If the day comes when I cannot reply to all, please know that I do my absolute best to read with deep gratitude, even if my fingers cannot keep up with what my heart wants to communicate. And the next comment from my 7 Sins reaction and analysis video, Jolie Nev DK. Quoting me, maybe I'm reading too much into that. Her response, no, this is what Ren does. He puts so much thought into his work, so much attention to detail. Overthinking is nearly impossible, and it's almost always deeper than you think. Well, maybe not you. Haha. Love this. Please keep nerding out over his lyrics. Well, you are wonderfully generous. To be completely honest, Ren's genius makes my ramblings appear more insightful than they truly are. I am simply grateful to sit at the edge of his mastery and his artistry and marvel aloud. If nerding out is my fate, then happily I shall wear that mantle. And this comment from my recent Je suis malade. I know this is a reaction channel, but I'm so mesmerized by your speech that I no longer care about anything but the beautiful way you speak. Oh, bloody hell, why did Liam pick such complimentary ones? I do terrible with compliments, by the way. Firstly, thank you. But I am utterly unworthy of such praise. My speech is nothing more than a jumble of influences and enthusiasm stitched together into this. But if it does give you pleasure, then I am humbled and I'm glad, though the true beauty belongs to Lara Fabian's voice, not my own. Another comment from 7 Sins chosen by Liam, and this one comes from Garth Bronson. Oh, I know Garth. He says, I've been watching your channel and been subscribed since October 2024. Oh wow, so you've been on for quite a while. And I've noticed you always talk in a very exuberant and beautiful manner. I'm curious if you talk to your wife like that, lol. Just imagine. And then he's got this sort of imagined conversation between me and this so-called wife. Good wife, prithee, what fare shall we partake of this eventide? Pray tell me, what hast thou prepared for thy culinary arts for our evening repast? What the hell, dude? Mrs. Wordsmith reads dictionary and responds. Fish and chips. I could go for some fish and chips. And then my reply. Excellent. Verily this tidings doth strike mine soul with gladness and fills mine bosom with felicitous delight. Yeah, this is great. Thanks, God. You have painted a most vivid and amusing picture. I must, however, confess the truth that I am not married and have been single for quite some time. And I think perhaps it is just as well, for I suspect any spouse would quickly tire of such theatrical utterances over the dining table. And I have been told that I have a tendency to be inebriated with the exuberance for my own verbosity. So, there. And here's another comment from How to Be Me at Denise Sprout 1449. If I ever had to study Shakespeare, I would want you to be my instructor. Oh, that's terribly kind. You have such a wonderful and engaging way of explaining things. Thank you. I can think of few kinder compliments than that. Shakespeare remains a wellspring of inexhaustible riches for me, and if my explanations can make him a fraction more accessible, then I am deeply honored. I still feel more student than teacher in that regard, but I thank you warmly nonetheless. I should like to share a few modest goals and grander dreams for the Wordsmith. One must be honest about such ambitions. The next great milestone for me, in which I hope I am worthy in your eyes to achieve, is to reach 100,000 subscribers. It is not a figure that not so long ago would have seemed utterly impossible, and yet beyond that, shimmering like a star beyond the horizon, lies the dream, dare I say, 1 million subscribers. An almost fantastical number, yes, but dreams are meant to be a little outrageous, are they not? So that would be the dream. Whether we reach such lofty heights or remain a small, more intimate fellowship, it will not change the way I carry myself on this channel and the work that I do here. I promise that the heart of the channel will remain the same. It's simply a place where words and music are explored with passion, reverence, and joy. I'd like to thank you immensely once again for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I deeply appreciate your time, and I can't wait to hear from you lot again in the next video. Take care, everyone. Thanks again. Cheers.